Hey, you know what it is? This is Joker News here speaking. I've been talking about Tupac. I've been talking about Suge Knight, Snoop Dogg for a while now back in the past. Look back at my past videos, hit that like and subscribe, but let's jump back into this new crazy reveal with Tupac. How a chain snatching and a Vegas beatdown led to Tupac's murder. Now, a grand jury witness testimony describes how a hyper-local clashes between warring gang factions spilled into a fatal dispute that would alter the course of hip-hop history. Now, in the adrenalized aftermath of a Mike Tyson prize fight in 1996, a black BMW carrying the rapper Tupac Shakur pulled up to a red light just off the Las Vegas Strip, now thrilling the women in the car next to him. Now, as Mr. Shakur hung out of his passenger side window, his friends in the Lexus behind him assumed that he was inviting the women to his record label's new night spot, now Club 662. Its numeric name, a barely disguised telephone code for mob. Now, the woman pulled away and a white Cadillac took their place. A large, muscular arm emerged from its rear window and fired a barrage of shots from a .40 caliber Glock, now pistol, into the BMW. Now, Mr. Shakur was hit 4 times, but the driver of the BMW, the Death Row Records impresario, Marion Knight, better known as Suge, was grazed by the gunfire, but he managed to take off, making a U-turn over a traffic median and driving the wounded Mr. Shakur in the opposite direction before pulling over. Now, Malcolm Greenidge, a rapper and close friend of Mr. Shakur's, who had been following them in the Lexus, rushed out of the car to check on Tupac. Now, he testified this summer to a Las Vegas grand jury that Tupac seemed less concerned with his wounds than with Greenidge's safety. As armed police officers approached the chaotic scene, he recalled, "Get on the ground, they're going to shoot you," Tupac told him. Mr. Greenidge testified that Mr. Shakur would die less than a week later at 25. Now, in the 27 years since, accountants of what happened on September 7, 1996 have existed in an unwidely tangle of new reports, true crime specials, street gossip, internet innuendo, and dubious self. The case went cold. Now, but with last week's indictment of Dwayne Keith Davis, a former Compton gang leader known as Kef D, who has been saying publicly for years that he was in the white Cadillac when the fatal shots were fired, prosecutors have begun to map out the most detailed narrative yet of the chain of events they said led to Mr. Shakur's death. Now, one that will be tested in court. While the broad outlines of Mr. Shakur's killing and its possible motive have long been known, hundreds of pages of grand jury witness testimony reviewed by the New York Times, given under oath, and with surprisingly vivid descriptions for a decades-old case, offer new details of how hyper-local disputes between warring gang factions had spilled out into an untimely, fatal rap beef that would alter the course of hip-hop history for Tupac Shakur. Now, the son of Black Panther and parents and a one-time performing arts student turned hip-hop backup dancer, Mr. Shakur had broken out as a solo artist in the early 1990s with the unique blend of introspective street poetry and young man's fury, a proud anti-hero whose popularity only grew as he became, mired in the violence and rivalries of Tupac Shakur's untimely death. And on Wednesday, Mr. Davis made his first appearance in Clark County District Court for a scheduled arraignment, with the judge postponed because Mr. Davis did not have a lawyer present, saying that his longtime California-based lawyer, Fowl, could not be there in a brief phone interview. Now, Mr. Fowl said Mr. Davis, 60 at this moment, intended to plead not guilty. He declined to discuss specifics about the case, saying he was in the process of getting Mr. Davis a Nevada lawyer. Now, like in all cases, I think we should allow things to play out in the courtroom. Now, some of the new evidence challenges the conventional wisdom that have formed around the killing. While Mr. Davis had previously told law enforcement officials that the gun had been fired by his nephew, Orlando Anderson, who was killed in a gang-related shooting in the 1998. Now, two witnesses shared accounts with the grand jury, casting doubt on the widely believed narrative. Those close to the case have reached to news of Mr. Davis's arrest with a mixture of shock and relief. Now, Alan Hughes, who directed two of Mr. Shakur's early music videos and worked with his estate on Dear Mama, the Saga of Afeni, and Tupac Shakur, a documentary series about the rapper and his mother that was released this year, said the family had wondered if there would ever be accountability for his death. Now, all these years, we all knew what it was, he said. Just because law enforcement didn't close the case doesn't mean we didn't feel or we knew who the true culprits were. Now, someone who has been indicted in his death, and Greg Kading, a retired Los Angeles police detective who began to reinvestigate the killing in 2006, said Tupac Shakur's murder will never again go down as an unsolved mystery. Now, Mr. Shakur's music and public persona had taken on a darker edge following his 1993 arrest, and while still awaiting the verdict in the case, Mr. Shakur had been ambushed, robbed, and shot in the lobby of a Manhattan recording studio, an attack he later blamed on his former friend, the notorious B.I.G., and affiliates of the New York-based label Bad Boy Records, including Sean Combs, known then as Puff Daddy. Now, they denied involvement with the notorious B.I.G., claiming that his taunting track, Who Shot Ya, had been written before the incident. Now, after Mr. Shakur responded with the furious personal diss him up in June 1996, what was once a simmering competition between the hip-hop vanguard on the East and West Coasts became a boiling feud, with each side relying on support from sworn enemies and the gang underworld for protection and street credibility. Now, those rising tensions began to boil over as players from each side prepared to travel to Las Vegas to watch Mr. Tyson fight Bruce Seldon at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. Not long before the fight, a brawl at the Lakewood Mall in Southern California set off a sequence of retaliation. Now, Devonta Lee, who said he was an affiliate of Compton's Southside Crips, told Las Vegas grand jury this summer that Mr. Davis, who called himself the five-star general of the local Cripset, had given a local football player $4,000 to shop for clothes before heading to college, and told other gang members to accompany him to the mall. But hey, this is all some crazy news, and I'm going to keep you guys updated. Keep hitting that like and subscribe, show some love, and let's jump right back into these news.